Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Bama Standard post-game show, A-Day edition. Before we get started, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're going to be in the live chat, let's get controversial, let's get rowdy. I'm ready to hear all the hot takes and fully expose them, of course. If you're watching the replay, I want you in the comment section telling us all your thoughts because we have a lot that we got to dissect today. I'm your host, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is the living legend that kind of keeps the lights turned on here, Senator Coach Smook Hines.
Going on,
and making his first appearance on this channel from Around the Table Sports, the Ty Hayes. What's going on, gentlemen?
Man, so happy I could be here. Thank you for inviting me on. I am so pumped up to be here. This is exciting.
As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. Guys, we finally made it to A-Day, Christmas in May or April, right? We're at the halfway point. Couldn't come at a better time. Before we kind of get started dissecting each position group, first take, what are your immediate thoughts? The glaring things that stood out to you? Ty, you're our guest, man. I'll let you start things out.
So one of the first things that I saw, right, is we know that Caleb Downs was one of the best players in high school football. I have been on a little bit of a conquest that at the very worst, on the worst day there is, he was a top 5 player in the nation. I thought there was a real good argument for him to be the number 1 player in the nation because it wasn't just athletic ability with Caleb Downs. It was the preparedness. It was the film watching. Like, these are things that, you know, there's a lot of athletic guys. High school football is full of athletic guys, but it's, can you bring the other intangibles to the table that get you over the edge? As a matter of fact, last year we heard Nick Saban talk about that with Kendrick Law, saying, hey, he's talented, but he knows what it takes on the day-to-day to succeed as a young guy. Guys, Caleb Downs, it almost looked like the game was on regular speed and someone put him on like fast forward. He looked fast in college. I am fired up about Caleb Downs. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. That was flew off the screen to me.
Not only Caleb Downs, but Earl Little, man. What we've been waiting for. Malachi Moore, I'm sorry. But, hey, not just Earl Little, guys. A lot of the young guys, a lot of them, the true freshmen, not freshmen on field. Yeah, Earl Little was true. I'm talking about the true freshmen that early enrollees that were guys, Justice Haynes. We knew it was, we knew. But now the world knows, and that's bad for us, you know. That's another thing Coach Saban has to talk about. That's another thing we got to get past through as, you know, as fan analysts or whatever you want to call us, podcast. We got to sit through and watch Coach Saban deal with before we get to the meat and the good stuff. But, like, y'all, we have a lot of excitement. And then I seen a comment in the chat already talking about the D-line, not just the D-line, the trenches in general. To me, I felt like both sides, offense and defense, first and second group, competed equally, and to the point where it wasn't really negative plays happening. It was just great plays happening. So when one got beat, it wasn't that the offensive line wasn't blocking good. It was just the defensive lineman made a great play. Yeah, and when the offensive line dominated, it wasn't that the defensive lineman wasn't making a good play. Offensive linemen were just dominated, and everybody overall offensive wise, I want to see a level of comfortability on no matter what group you were. And for the most part, minus a few receivers, but for everything interior wise, to the quarterback, to the perimeter of that O-line, it looked so intact. And yes, we didn't get the full playbook. We didn't get a full sample of what we're going to possibly see from Tommy Rees. But to have guys confident and just buying into the concept of what we're getting ready to establish moving forward this early. Rees has only been there a month and a half. Guys, this is promising to see what I saw today, because last year there was a lot of pointing fingers, a lot of miscommunication, wide receiver routes and stuff. Drops is not miscommunication, guys. To have balls thrown to the right spot and defenders making good plays off tips and things, I like that, because they've been seeing it for the past month. They've been seeing these plays. They've been seeing this playbook. So, yes, you expect that, but the level of comfortability and just the overall cohesiveness of the offensive unit and just the energy, man, it felt different today. I'm right there with you, Ty.
Well, One of the things that I think is going to be a massive help is, look, moving from Bill O'Brien to Tommy Rees is, I think, and I don't, this is going to sound bad, but it's almost like a simpler concept for the wide receivers. When we really start breaking down Bill O'Brien, the one thing that really separated him in the NFL was his option concepts at the wide receiver position for every single wide receiver. We're talking outside, inside, tight end. That's all well and good in the NFL when you have that guy for 4 to 5 years and right? That's their job to drill down those options. In college, giving a quarterback and a wide receiver a laundry list of option routes they have to know, depending on if the DB is playing inside leverage, outside leverage, if he's sitting, trail technique, stack technique. That's a lot, man. That's tough. That's tough.
Justin, it's crazy that Ty saying this because we literally our gripe with Bill O'Brien has not been the scheme. It's the placement of the scheme. You don't start the game off giving your wide receivers that many options when they don't even know where they're going to be thrown at. I watched a YouTuber say he made a statement about watching film, and to a certain degree, he was right. He was like, film can only help you so much. Film helps you learn tendencies. It don't necessarily tell you how this player is going to play if the ball is thrown like this. It's tell you tendencies, give you the advantage on that point. So if we get a certain look, this is what you should do. Bill O'Brien never understood the concept of forcing the issue. He always evading the run game early, and then you giving your wide receivers 7 different options on their first play. No, run a hard post at the corner, at the safety, get the ceiling, break at the safety, and see how they react to it. Then we can adjust off of that. That's what made Sarkisian, and that's what made the previous Dayball even had a good schematic placement mindset. When he was in charge of the offense here. So, I mean, I'm just excited, guys.
One of the things that jumps off the page immediately to me, kind of ties into something you guys already said, was defensively, the guys were not waiting for the guy in front of them to dictate the play. They were calling the shot. They were being active, and they were telling the guy in front of them, this is what's you're going to do, and we're shutting it down right now. Mm-hmm. Guys, this class right now has that eerie feeling of the 2017 class, does it not?
Yeah.
They seem like right now they're ready. They're on loan to us from the NFL. They understand it. We said it before in previous shows in one form or another. They're not going to wait around for these veterans to finally have that light turn on.
I'm telling you.
And the thing that makes it so good, what position group do you want to talk about?
Right.
We want to signal the offensive line. Pritchett, he showed flashes today, but at the same time, he had a little bit of trouble at times today.
He did.
At left tackle. Now, I am split 50-50. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, he had a tough time. I'm looking at it from the opposite, right? Because this is a double-edged sword. You always have to acknowledge. In a spring game, this is the beautiful thing about it, right, as fans. Your offense doesn't do well. Everybody's mad about the offense, but that means the defense probably did really well. Yeah. So Pritchett, he struggled. But are we not going to talk about some of those power rushes Robinson hit him with?
Exactly.
Right? Like the hand fighting.
Or the stunt.
Good Lord, man. He was on a mission today.
Man thrown at him with Otis rolling off to the edge come on now.
The Boygby on that, I think it was the 3rd or 4th quarter, hit him with another one of those stunts, right? But then you look at the second team offensive line, you see Alinen, you see Proctor, and they're holding their own.
Right.
Alen's been doing it all spring.
You look at the linebacker position, right? Maybe not some true freshmen, but young guys. Sean Murphy, right there.
Campbell.
Right? Campbell, right there. Blackshire's been in there for a while, but I mean, God, guys, that linebacker position, it's a great problem to have.
If there's we have to put Blackshire, any run heavy base team that we play, Blackshire has to be in there. The amount of intensity that he brings in the run in containing the run game, his coverage is not there. We're not going to sit there and act like there's even an ounce of that. But you talking about a headhunter that can diagnose some runs and fill a gap or blow a gap up. There's got to be somewhere for this guy to be. And then, like we was talking about earlier, Justin Jefferson, this guy has some like elite talent for a linebacker. Yeah, I mean, speed wise, and then but he's physical. Like that was my concern. Is he big enough to impose? And it looks like he's putting on weight already. and he's physically imposing. I mean, every snap he's touching somebody. And I mean, I remember seeing Reuben Foster do that as you know, the freshman that really couldn't get on the field. So special teams and those moments where he can put, I remember seeing that. And you saw that from a lot. I seen Perry out there mixing it up. Offensive lineman getting dirty with the defensive lineman in the scrimmage. That's positive signs for Alabama football, where our trenches look gritty and nasty again. That's what I'm excited about.
That linebacker room, where do we start, guys? Jihad Campbell, Trezmen Marshall, Justin Jefferson. Of course, like you said, Kendra Blackshire really turned it on in the second half. This is a good problem to have. How do you, as Kevin Steele, figure out, okay, when do I put these guys in? Because they are all ready. They were flying over the field. Quandarius Robinson, already said it in the chat here. He had himself a game. I think he's still pissed off about the mistake he made against Tennessee and carried it over to this game and into spring. But this is a different field. This isn't a Pete Golding tiptoe hugging defense. This is the alpha male. We're about to take your very soul from your body, and you'll have nothing to say about it kind of defense.
You know what? And I'm sorry, Justin. You know, I love to talk about my wide receivers. But one thing I did like today, I saw a lot of man defense. Like, DBs were getting beat early in these routes, but I like that because they were able to be athletes. They know only one of you gonna have over the top help. One of you is going to be on the island every play. One of you is not going to have over the top help. And you seen that urgency today, that sense of urgency from both corners. Terrion Arnold played a great, and I mean this is but just you see he's comfortable. He looks like a cornerback this year. He doesn't look like a safety figuring it out. He looked like a corner, lining up to play corner. I mean, trusting his instincts.
And he has a coach who's competent, man. He's putting him in the right positions. That's a big difference from last year.
And like I said, I wonder if, and I don't keep wanting to get straight from these different groups, man, but I wonder if Malachi Moore and Earl Little, if that's going to be a battle that's really handled. I really think Earl Little can be that star for us, man. Yeah, he's young, but I feel like we young everywhere, so might as well chance it now. You know, I mean, when it's time to play football, you play football at the end of the day. And the question is can he be a run blitz support star like Branch was for us last year? That's give him a chance. Give him a chance. He was here last year. He knows scheme enough, I believe.
Well, let's transition to the defensive backs. What a day by those guys. Caleb Downs, you already said it. I mean, there's not a whole lot to really break down about him. He is Landon Collins 2.0.
Oh, I have more. I have more. If I may, I'll tell you another thing real quick that had me. Did y'all notice every time they sent a corner blitz, who did they ask to man up the wide receiver off the corner blitz? The true freshman Caleb Downs. Guys, I have seen enough. He is so gifted. Gifted.
The true freshman from Georgia last year, the safety, I can't remember his name. I think he wore number 3. I mean, started the year off with a pick against Oregon on the first drive.
Isn't it Aguero?
Lassitier. I want to say Lassitier is the kid's name at Georgia.
Gotcha.
But I mean, same type of confidence. I see Kevin Steele having that same type of confidence in Caleb Downs right now. Like, the kid is not being coached. Nobody's out there pushing him up in the right spot. None of that. It's like him and Christian Story back there like, get to it. Christian Story, talk about it. I'm so happy for this kid, guys. This kid kept his head down. Came in with so much, high hopes. We had Christian Story. He was going to jump right. He was going to jump Helms. That's what we thought. We thought because they were just getting burned. Why is this guy with all this speed, this track speed, his elite speed, not getting a chance on the field? But to see that he was actually breaking down and hitting guys today, which was the knack on him, and actually in coverage, the recovery speed of the play over top, we're going to need that this year. And Caleb Downs is just smart, man. You got those two guys, fresh legs, fresh minds, fresh energy under a new coordinator that's going to allow them to be athletes. This is dangerous, guys.
What's great about these young guys is, as a freshman coming in, you're a little bit timid and you're looking back every play to see if coaches are going to yell at you or correct you. Caleb Downs and these other guys, they're not looking back. They're on that field like, I own this field, and I'm going to play like I've been here 3 years, and you're not going to question anything I'm doing because I'm the guy. You mentioned the battle between Malachi Moore and Christian Story. It was apparent they both want it bad. Malachi Moore, what a first half. 7 tackles and 3 sacks. I think he only had one really bad play in the second half, if you really want to call it that. But yeah, Christian Story almost has a pick 6. These guys are hungry. Can we talk about the guys who aren't really getting a lot of publicity and they should have, who had a big game today? Jake Pope, second year. Man, quietly, nobody's talking about this kid. They kind of wrote him off, and if you didn't hear his name mentioned on a podcast from time to time, you probably forgot he was on the roster. Today, he reminds you he's there, and he's going to make some noise. What about Brayson Hubbard, converted over from quarterback? He looked really good. I was impressed with what he showed us. I thought Desmond Ricks was going to take some time to develop, but what a game he had, especially in that second half.
You remember that was our fear. Will he be patient and just develop? You got a lot in front of you, Des, but Des is one bad game like Ricks was last year. Eli Ricks. You one bad game from getting your chance and going out there and showing us what we already know. You can be the lockdown guy. Ricks, stay humble, son. Please. We got so much. And then you got to think what's coming behind you next year, Ricks. You get to be the leader for the next group. You get what I'm saying? He's setting himself up. Today was, I'm not being a fan right now. I'm talking about football, guys. Guys going out there and looking like they knew what they were doing. We didn't get none of that last year. The spring game last year, guys were looking confused. Why are you looking confused in the spring game? You're doing the same plays you've been doing for the past 3.5, 4 weeks. The same plays. There's nothing different. People are watching you now. It's in the big stadium. There's nothing different. So why are we looking confused? That bothered me last year. And this year, it's defense. Offense, nobody looked confused. You very rarely saw somebody with miscommunication eyes. Like, I didn't know, and that's what I'm happy about, y'all.
Well, carried over into the season last year. You had coaches, I don't think, that really understood what they were going to do from down to down. These are the old school guys. Tommy Rees has an old soul. I really believe that in his play calling. And today, man, nobody really has talked about it. The tight ends are really good. And we didn't get a full picture of how good they're going to be because Robbie Oots is out. He'll be back in the fall. But Daniel Lewis Jr. had a really big second half. Really like what I saw out of him. Miles Kittelman was getting into the action, man, with multiple catches. I like the way we actually utilize those guys, man, and multiple looks. We're going to be very talented at that position. And I think that's a position that has been underwhelming at best the past couple of seasons, and it may be returning to. That's how we've been successful in the past, is having a good tight end game, and I feel like we have the guys that are going to do it. Amari Black showed flashes today. I really would want him to break out a little bit more, do a little bit more electrifying than he did, but you know what? It's the spring game, and we got plenty of time to see what he's going to do.
Hey, Ty, I remember you talking about it in one of your shows as far as the type of offense you thought Tommy Rees would bring over. With the amount of tight end splits and I heard the announcers talking about it too. Was that surprising to you, or is that something that you expected?
No, actually, I thought we'd see a bit more 12 personnel. Because at Notre Dame, and this is what I always talk about with Tommy Rees, I went and watched a lot of Notre Dame thinking I would get this clairvoyance as to who the starting quarterback for Bama would be, and I left far more confused than I entered the film study, because I was like, both of the guys have the skill set that he really looks for in the offense. But when it came to the tight end, guys, the tight ends that Bama has on roster and the offensive coordinator they have now, he is going to make defenses pay. Now,
yes,
he is going to cause fits. And what gets even more intriguing is when we look at these running backs, and you have Roydell Williams, who's so efficient out the backfield. Jace has shown he's really underrated as a receiving threat out the backfield, right? People don't ever talk about that, but Justice Haynes today out the backfield. And guys, there's a guy on this team who, Justin, you're so right. We're giving all the love to some of these guys, and there are plenty of guys that don't get the shine that played fantastic today that we need to talk about. And one such guy, when we think of what it is Tommy Rees does on the offense, all right, I want us to imagine the offense, Amari Niblack out there, CJ DePire out there, Travion Henderson. And the versatility he has with this Tommy Rees offense, guys, I'm telling you, orbit motion, stuff like that.
Emmanuel Henderson.
Emmanuel Henderson. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I have my
man.
list in front of me of guys I'm excited to, and Travion Henderson is on that. But thank you so much, Emmanuel Henderson.
Speed.
Wow.
That's what I was going to say. You talk about a if Sarkisian had this personnel, just think about a more calm Sarkisian mindset. That's what I see Tommy Rees. Same innovation, but a lot more calm, a lot more composed with emotions and how to cause the game. I feel like Tommy Rees has the tools now where he's going to have to work on being patient and where he hits the opponent. Because, like you said, the tight end game, that's what made Georgia such an elite offense these past 2 years. It wasn't just Brock Bowers. They had 4 tight ends that they were using where it was in the run game effectively, putting them in motion, making a run look, but letting them clip and break off to the flats. Like those big plays for the tight ends is what opened it up for wide receivers who aren't as athletically gifted, like Lance McConkey or what's the other guy named Smith when he was injured. He's not full 100%, but how is he still one of the top receivers? Because of scheme. It's allowing guys to be put in positions where they're most effective at. And if Tommy Rees picks up on that early, you got guys like Danny Lewis. I think Danny Lewis and CJ Dupree are probably going to be our red zone guys for real. Mm-hmm. And you talk about going 13 personnel where you could bring a knee black on and split him. You know, why you got your 2 on the end tight ends, that you split a tight end with a wide receiver and have a Justice Hayes or Roy Dale in the back. You don't know if we come in power, play action, you know, like and read option now. You saw the basic read option play. Simple, no extravagance. We force a read and make the read off of it. And that's what I saw. And you didn't see Ty Simpson get forced into that because that's not Ty Simpson game. But you did see Jalen Milroe get a couple of those calls. So it's that type of play calling telling me there wasn't no set script, that this scrimmage was being called as if it was a real game. Like, okay, this situation, this the quarterback, this situation, this the defense. And that's what I'm appreciative of about this whole evaluation process. These guys worked. They had to work to show what they had to do, what they had today.
And folks, I promise we are going to get to the quarterback situation, but we have to give you a reason to stay here. So we're going to draw it out a little bit longer.
So bad
because I know a lot of people are tuning in right now to hear what we're going to say about the quarterbacks. I mean, with good reason. It's been the marquee position to watch ever since Bryce Young made his announcement that he was going pro. But you're looking at the wide receiver room. I will say I was underwhelmed today at best. Now, there were 3 guys in my mind that stood out amongst the others. Emmanuel Henderson, we already talked about him. He's the love child of Kenyon Drake and Jalen. I just forget his name. Waddle. Sorry, so excited talking about
Jalen Waddle.
Emmanuel Henderson, Kendrick Law, Jalen Hale. Who expected him to emerge today?
Did I not just say his name the other day? Did I not just say his name the other day? And
I'm sitting there looking at 82, Jalen. Oh, Jalen Hale. Okay. Have yourself a day, man. Make a case to start. I mean, my gosh, there was no clear separation from the wide receivers today. So I feel like that position is wide open right now. But the drops, my gosh, guys, I know it's a spring game, but we saw too much of it last year, and I really had hoped it wouldn't have carried over. Jermaine Burton acted like the ball had COVID. I'm just trying to understand exactly what his relationship with the ball was today. Now, he did make a spectacular catch that Ty Simpson threw to him down the sideline. But other than that, there's receivers, especially some of these veteran guys, just were not making the grabs we wanted and definitely weren't fighting when it came to the 50-50 ball, which is something we talked about before we got on air. You gentlemen, go ahead and let's talk about this room. How do y'all feel?
Go ahead, Ty.
It's perplexing because, look, if we're just talking about pure ability, I love the talent in this wide receiver room for Alabama. I really do. I think they did a great job last year in recruiting. Kendrick Law, I think, is going to be so dangerous. Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, Shaz Preston, even. Really big fan of him. Hale, I think he is a really exciting prospect. Malik Benson, Henderson. There's a lot of excitement, but at the end of the day, there's a common theme we've seen. And I can talk again and again and again about how much talent is in this wide receiver room. And guys, I promise you, it is very, very talented. But if the drops are still there, that's got to be the first thing that's cleaned up. So it's kind of a bittersweet moment, right? It makes me kind of more perplexed just because I know how talented the room is, but the drops, it's a problem that cannot continue. We don't have Bryce Young to continue bailing out the offense anymore. Everything has got to be a well-oiled machine now.
And I'm gonna bounce off of that into that's why it's so important for Tommy Rees to establish that tight end room, because those are the easier throws for quarterbacks who are coming into taking over an offense under a new coordinator. You want to create those easy looks. That also gives those wide receivers time to kind of like, grind down on the DB, make a DB see what you're bringing, different releases. Give me an opportunity to open up a little bit, and like a lot of times I feel like we forced it to the perimeter too early in the games with Bryce, and under Bill O'Brien. So now with the way Tommy Rees was calling the game, I feel like we have a strong enough offensive line, a solid enough offensive line. Actually, honestly, offensive line is probably our most solid group on the offensive side. And then, and that's going like, I'm talking about maybe 8 or 9 deep. You can rotate 8 or 9 guys across the offensive line and be solid. And the running back room, we know how full and packed that is. Hopefully we just could keep those guys in the running back room, all 5 that's going to be in there. Let's hope we can keep them around all year, because all 5 of them could be anywhere and starting. So you're not too much worried there. You have 2 quarterbacks that are developing that confidence that you want. They seem to have a sense of control, but like the wide receivers, you see the ones that are grinding. Are they getting the looks that they should be getting? Nah, it's the spring games. Things are going to get cheated. Things are going to get covered up. Things are going to happen, but the drops that's just something you can't coach. You can't coach drops. You can't coach a play. You can tell them, you can teach them, but you can't really go in that moment and help a player secure the ball. And it has to be a desire. And you can see which of those receivers it's a desire for, because some of them drops today were attacking the ball too hard, and trying to be extra aggressive on the ball. And then some of them were, mistiming, misjudging ball in the air type thing. I know the interception in the end zone with Jalen Milroe when he threw it up. I don't know if that was just like a thing where we were, that was a coach thing or what, but that didn't look characteristic for either side of the ball, the way it was played. I didn't know if the players were even playing that play out, but today I wasn't so bent on the statistics for the wide receiver. My thing was who's creating separation early. Saw it from Emmanuel Henderson. Saw it from Kobe Prentice. I didn't see it from Jermaine Burton at all today. Not once. The one time he was wide open, honestly, that was just a good schematic play. If you look at the routes, the under is what got picked up, and it opened it up for him to go over top. That's all that was. It wasn't that he burnt anybody or anything. So I'm glad that he wasn't with the first group. That's what I was glad to see, meaning that talent is being evaluated. Guys who are deserving of that first group position going with the first group is that's what's happening. And I'm just happy, man. Is the wide receiver issues a Wiggins problem? Honestly, we can't say that. You got to look at the product Wiggins has put out since he's been there. You get what I'm saying? Like, he has never underdeveloped the receivers that's left. I can't call it.
That falls on receivers, I feel like. You can train them all day long. You can scheme them up right. You can put them in the right position. But at the end of the day, there's something they're supposed to take ownership of. Catching is the ultimate. That's number 1 on the list. And if you're not having the success you need doing that one thing that you are recruited to do, then you need to spend time with that machine. Spend time with the quarterback. Establish the timing. Get the comfortability down, because there is no time to wait on you to finally emerge. These young guys are about to take your spot.
Great.
Bryce Young is gone. You veterans, you need to make the effort to get your catching down, because if you have any desire to make it to an NFL roster, you're going to have to do a little bit extra, especially for these new guys who are trying to figure things out at the quarterback position.
Right, man.
Well, it's one of those things, Wiggins, to your point, he's been fantastic in the production he's put out. And 2, if they weren't working on drops in practice, Wiggins wouldn't be there, right? So, it's obviously something they're working on. Wiggins can't go in there and catch the ball for him. And Raidu, I'd be super interested
I want to know
hearing your take on this. I'd actually be very interested in hearing your take.
What today, Radu, would gives you, because I still don't think if he's it or not. I'm just talking about the energy, what I was able to see today. Offense comfortable, quarterbacks comfortable, O-line pointing out, making calls comfortable, being aggressive. There was no hesitation after the snaps. Everything was being ran full speed, even the wide receivers. I mean, Jermaine Burton, and y'all know I was going to be watching. Everybody that watches the Bama Standard, watches our show, knows that I am not a Jermaine Burton fan. I will not give Jermaine Burton credit until the only thing Jermaine Burton go get credit from me is when he announces that he's leaving the University of Alabama. That's when I will congratulate Jermaine Burton and thank him for his services. But until then, because he came over with all this hype and this expectation and the leader and all this guy, and this guy goes out there and literally does not give 110% like I would expect the Alabama veteran receiver to do. Ja'Cory Brooks is not the most athletic or the fastest guy in that room, but I feel like when Ja'Cory Brooks has a drop, it's not because of lack of effort. It's not because of not knowing what's supposed to be happening. You know, with Jermaine Burton, is just one of those things, and like to have that type of energy surrounding him, that's a direct effect of Tommy Rees being there, guys. The energy that you saw on the offensive side, that's Tommy Rees. So I would love to hear your insight on that, or read your insight on it.
Well, here's the thing, and I think a lot of Bama fans, casual Alabama fans, are going to miss the biggest point, and that's the things you just pointed out. It's not the stat sheet that you need to be looking at right now. It's not wide receivers blowing up the field and the second coming of JMO happening before our eyes. It's the being comfortable, being aggressive, all those things that aren't on the stat sheet they were missing last year. Comfortability, confidence, make their ass quit. I saw all that today. Would I have liked to have seen better stats? Absolutely. Would I have liked to have seen better scoring? Yeah, absolutely. But what was most important to me, was most critical for this team going forward, are those things that aren't on the stat sheet.
Right.
With these coordinators, that tells me they're doing their job. So for anybody to say Tommy Rees saying it, you're not watching the game within the game. And if that's a direct correlation to Tommy Rees being there, Kevin Steele being there. And also, too, you can't accurately judge a newly hired offensive coordinator based off a spring game or a spring practice. But this is something that's going to take time to develop. There's layers. You have to really see how it plays out. And again, the spring game, it's going to be very vanilla. It's just basic to get a product on the field, get some film together, and do some growth, and then move on to the summer.
Well, and if I may, one of the comments Radu had was that, if I can go up and find it, he says, all Tommy Rees does is run the ball and throw in the middle of the field. Y'all really think that will work against a team like Georgia? I mean, he had a lot of different concepts outside of that today. A lot of that. I mean, the Burton pass that was dropped was basically setting up the thing that you're talking about. The amount of times he looked in the middle, he sucked a lot of the defenders into the middle. He had someone on a different kind of high-low concept. Burton got free. It was a missed opportunity. But the thing that I like about that is when I went back last year, how many times Alabama didn't attack the middle of the field with Bill O'Brien. I don't know if y'all have ever gone back and looked.
No, we saw it live.
Almost never attacked the middle of the field. And when they started attacking the middle of the field, all of a sudden they could drive the football and put drives. And Tommy Rees will do that. And that, to me, Raidu, I look at that opposite. And that's not to sit here and say that he's going to be the best offensive coordinator in the nation. That's just my take on the situation. I just think that I think that his offensive system is going to be a lot of fun. I like it.
And Burton had Chaz Preston open downfield. He just didn't see it.
Yeah, he did. But that was, I think that was for the fans. That play right there, that was one for the fans.
Hey, I like this. Ephraim Thomas, Tommy Rees, please stay on the field.
But Ephraim, even if Rees isn't on the field, I feel like the staff that's been surrounded, being with Gillespie and the guys getting more on the field input now, I believe Rees can go up to the booth. He was in the booth with Notre Dame, and I believe Rees is a over the top visual OC. I feel like he can be the I guess the communication between what's being thrown in, signaled out into the field and what's being received by the players is so simplified right now that it can make him being up top that much better. When you have, like Ty said early on, when you have that multi-concept offense, you need the OC down there. So when the quarterback comes out the field and the wide receivers are there, you can pull them all together. Hey, so boom, this is the pad. This is the play. When I gave you this call, this is what I was thinking. What were y'all thinking? And we can get that feedback without passing the headset around. But when it's simplified, I'm not giving you all these different options. You got maybe one or two options based off of a call and a look, and we're all on the same page. And I'm over top. I'm able to see, okay, the safety's biting whenever we get his motion. So let me get his motion and throw this at him because he's cheating this way now. I feel like that's the type of OC Rees is, but it would be awesome to have Steele on the field. We say we have the OC on the field. I want the defensive coordinator on the field. If Steele can't do it, hopefully Robert Balla and the energy that the reports we were getting from his energy, hopefully he can provide that energy on the sideline, guys, because that's what we're really missing on the sideline. If any coaching, defensive coaches need to be on the sideline. The ones that are implementing and need players to get in the spot, I need that coach in the players' faces, not up in the booth.
I completely agree. 100%. Balla was such a fun hire. And the energy he brings, that's something that has got to be there. And I think you started to see that with the game today. Guys, it's just a spring game, but there was an energy out there today that just wasn't there last spring game. Right. And last spring game, I think I kind of excused it because I was like, okay, well, maybe they're trying to be more buttoned up, more business. And because of that, they just weren't being themselves, right? It's Bryce, it's Will. Those guys, it was great to see the personality almost come back out. And you saw guys fired up, flying around. That's what has me fired up about all of this. Someone asked about Earl Little and that interception. That interception was spectacular.
Spectacular. But the ball play of our defensive backs right now is something we haven't seen across the board. You talking about from left to right, top and bottom, on both levels at the secondary. Guys that can play the ball. Terry and Arnold is probably the best. I guess you could say ball hawk we got on the ball. Kool-Aid's probably the most talented, the most diverse, but as far as hands attacking the ball, I think Terry Arnold probably the best. But you got a Kool-Aid McKinstry who's just flawless out there right now. Like this, he looks like a corner for real this year. Kool-Aid looks like a corner, and everybody's talking about how Travis Hunter can go on both sides. I think people forget Kool-Aid was the same type of athlete Travis Hunter is. He's not as tall, but the same type of athlete, the same type of spark. And if Kool-Aid, that speed that I was seeing, the explosiveness I was seeing on the field today, if you just coming off an injury and you looking like that Kool-Aid, I'm ready for you to get healthy and for this season to kick off, because we might have one of the nastiest secondaries with that front, the front that we have rotating 8-9 deep. We might have one of the most dominant secondaries because anything getting in there, thrown in the air is going to be off time. Is going to be hassled with our front. These DBs going to be learn how to catch these ducks. We need to take our DBs duck hunt and learning how to catch these ducks out there, because that's what they're gonna be catching a lot of this year. I'm telling y'all, man. The fan in me is coming out right now because football wise, I'm excited. The football part, within the first, I want to say in the middle of the second quarter of the scrimmage, I knew football wise, Bama energy had been restored. Like football, we got football down right now. Now let's talk about the little small stuff. We talk about the small stuff we could pick and all that stuff, but football, I feel like our boys came and played football today.
Well, Squidward, here's one thing I will say. One of those interceptions by Ty Simpson, the one that Earl Little grabbed, that was a great play by the defender.
Yeah,
there's
nothing you can do about that.
He bailed. That ball was going to be a well-placed ball. Yeah. Earl Little made that's a Saturday play. That's a Sunday play. All right, that's a Sunday play. But even outside of that, guys, and then your comment before about Travis Hunter could legit play wide receiver. Ooh, I don't know if you remember Kool-Aid in high school on the wide receiver side of the ball. He was disgusting in high school at wide receiver. There were some people who were like, hey, this cat could legit play wide receiver in college.
Yeah.
And I'm not comparing him to Travis, not my point, Squidward. Two totally different players, but it's just that, hey, man, Kool-Aid has that juice. He's got that juice.
And guys, when I say like if we don't take advantage of it now with letting these guys get some type of taste, it's going to come back to bite us. What saved us the year Najee and Tua and those guys won it for us was they throughout that whole season. You can go to every game. Smitty, Judy, all those guys, they were getting snaps. They were getting snaps. Meaningful snaps. Tua went in against Vandy. We were only up 24-28 or something like that. Third quarter, we weren't blowing them out. 30-point blowout, second string. This is Tua in with first group. And threw that crazy pass. Second string. People forget that was Tua's like big coming out moment when he broke out, spinned off the pocket, did a little spin, and he didn't even see Judy. He just knew Judy was going to the spot, threw it in the corner, and they took his legs from under him, and he was just able to hit his butt, roll over, and look to see that it was a touchdown. Like that year, this is the energy we got. That 2017, this is the energy that's coming in this season. Y'all, Georgia, Auburn, everybody, y'all better be. It's about to be ugly, man.
Before we get to the quarterbacks, which we need to do that, I do want to touch lightly on the running backs, but I do have to bring up this. We are missing guys on the field, on the D-line too, like Dallas Turner. Guys, as well as our linebackers play today, it's crazy to think that Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell were not playing today, and they still performed at such a high level. I'm excited.
Is it bad that I forgot about Dallas Turner? Not like forgot about him, but I forgot that he didn't play today. Like
you were so fired up about what was there. Yeah, I feel you.
I can honestly agree to the same, but the running back room
fired up.
Let's talk about how loaded we are. Rodell, switchblade, can do a little bit of everything. Ran with power and purpose. Can do many things. I like that we saw a lot of different things for him today, and I think a lot of people are pushing him to the back of the line, the way back of the line, like he shouldn't be there. That maybe he's an afterthought, but he's gonna play a vital role. But we are loaded. Jace McClellan is still at the top form. He can run with power. He'll hit you in the mouth, and he'll break your ankles as well. I like what I saw from him today, especially in the second half. He's one of those guys, as the game goes on, he gets stronger, and he's going to make you regret coming across him. Justice Haynes, he already looks 30 years old. 3 touchdowns today. He dictated the way the defense was doing their things. I'm excited. Jen Miller at times did well, but the defensive line was making him hate life a lot.
Hey, that's the bad part about being that third one up.
Who do you feel like emerged, I guess, the most impressive today in the running back room? Or was it more of just a collective success from those guys?
Boy, so I think it's hard not to say Justice Haynes just because he's a freshman. I mean, guys, he's supposed to be studying AP physics tonight. You know what I mean? For the test on Monday. Like, he's supposed
prom
to be
this weekend too.
going to get the suit fitted, all of that. Like, he's supposed to be worrying about totally different things than what he's doing. So I think the natural inclination is to say Justice Haynes, because everything we've heard, he went out there, 3 touchdowns and looks the part. But this is a true running back by committee. Justice Haynes is him. This is true. But Jace McClellan is also a dude. Roydell Williams is a dude. Jamarian Miller is a dude. And Morehouse, you beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
Richard Young isn't even on campus yet. The running back room is great. I know the conversation today, and rightfully so, will be about Justice Haynes, and I will champion that conversation. Do not forget about Roydell Williams. Do not forget about Jace McClellan. Do not forget about Jamarian Miller. And do not forget about Richard Young. This running back room with Tommy Rees is going to be fun.
And you know what, Ty? Tommy Rees, depending on how personnel is being controlled this year, Tommy Rees is not opposed to 12-12, 10-8 with run back.
Yep.
And you want me to tell you how I know? Because before the injuries last year, you had a running back who was projected first round, right? Notre Dame had a projected first rounder. The most amount of carries he had in the first 3 weeks was 15. 15. And this guy was a projected first rounder. So you talking about 12 for Jace? 12, and that's 25 to 30 run attempts. That's what we want when we talk about a balanced offense. averaging 65 to 75 plays a game, you want 25 to 30 carries. If you could divide those carries up 12s, or if everybody just giving you enough, giving you everything, and everybody's popping for 4.5 yards a carry, man, that's something that late in the season teams can't compete with that. There's no physical way attrition starts to be imposed earlier in games. Usually weeks 1 through 4 is like the third quarter you see it. And then weeks 5 through 8, you start seeing it happen early in the second quarter, like middle of the second quarter. And then by the end of the season, if you are who you are, you either blowing people out or it's going to be tight games. So I think we're set up for success with the running back room. I don't believe nobody's going to have a crazy breakout year because of just how much talent there is. I think everybody's going to have solid years. You could give, I could say we could have 2 800-yard rushers, Easy. 800-yard rushers, then a third back could be like a 400-yard rush. But all of them have 5+ touchdowns, and that's a solid running back room.
I got to disagree with Squidward's world. Jason and Roydell aren't explosive at all. Jace has had, one explosive one in 3 years.
Are you serious?
You also have to remember that Jason and Roydell have been hurt the majority of their time there when they weren't behind a loaded backfield when they were freshmen. Last year, they were finally getting their footing back, and I thought performed very well. They are very explosive.
I'm a big Jace fan.
Jace is very explosive.
The Florida game, his freshman year, the game he got hurt, the 67-yard rush or something like that, that's what got him on the map. This man broke up the sideline.
Arkansas?
It just...
Oh, yeah, Arkansas. When I first saw Jace doing his thing, like against Arkansas and then against Florida before he got hurt, guys, I don't know if you agree with me, but I actually saw shades of Sean Alexander.
And I even said Kamara, the way he was hitting the hole, he's not hesitant in hitting the holes. And that's what makes him different. To me,
Jace makes his holes.
That's what made him more of a valuable running back than Jahmyr Gibbs. Not a better athlete or the better player, a more valuable running back because he was committed to doing the things that running backs did. Now Jahmyr Gibbs was more useful. You get what I'm saying? He's a better receiver out the backfield, this, that, and the third. But the running back, I would definitely go Jace. If I'm talking about ground pound, I'm going Jace. Bama look bad. The QB. Hey, Daniel, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. I've been waiting for you. Let's get to this QB talk, bro.
Yes, let's transition to the quarterback room. Guys, let's go ahead and throw it out there. The quarterback decision is not going to be made after this game tonight, and Coach Saban's sitting in his house and eating his little Debbie's. A matter of fact, the quarterback situation is not going to be resolved probably until the first game, or if not the second game. I think both will probably end up playing in the first game. And for anyone who think anything different, you don't understand the process, as we so commonly coin each and every week. I think both of them at best today were kind of neck and neck. There was nothing that really set the other apart. I feel like both were inconsistent. They did good things. Yeah, there were some things that they could take back, but I don't feel like one has a distinct advantage over the other. And if I didn't watch the game, and if I jumped on Twitter and looked at the timeline, I would have sworn that Ty Simpson just completely was heads and tails better than Jalen Milroe, and that's not the case today. So let's talk about Jalen Milroe. He had a very good game. Had an electric play, exploded off the backside zone read for a touchdown. Had a great anticipation throw deep to Kendrick Law, and I started to see a little bit of a connection form between those guys. There was a good comfortability there. And, man, who is better than a Kendrick Law to establish that kind of comfortability with a Deebo Samuel 2.0? I'll go ahead and say that. That deep throw to Emmanuel Henderson was a thing of beauty. And then at the end has a touchdown to Malik Benson. And if also too, guys, if you're going by the negative, you can take back that interception towards the end of the second half. That's just him throwing up a prayer, trying to get a score before they walk into halftime. You can't count that against him. But let's say all those wide receivers make those catches, or at least half of those catches there weren't dropped.
For either QB.
Completely different stat line for Jalen Milroe, and a lot of people are kind of quiet right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll hand it off to you guys. Tyler, you start off about what you saw from Jalen Milroe. And then, Coach, please feel free to follow up.
Yes, look, I think the fun thing about this is, and I love debating. Squidward, I saw you post in the chat that you appreciated that Justin and Coach, they don't ban people for disagreeing, and absolutely not. I think all three of us, one thing we like is the interaction with people and people who don't agree, because at the end of it, heck, maybe you make a point and I sit here and say, oh, I didn't think about it like that. That's a really good point. And I learned something. And now all of a sudden, you said that's what makes this fun. But focusing in on the quarterbacks, all three of us, I think, are in the same realm where we have all been Jalen Milroe defenders, right? To the point of like saying, hey, this guy's got a lot of ability. I had the ability to talk to some people that worked with him in high school, and they said, as a young man, it just sensational human being. Had so much good to say about him. Look, Jalen Milroe, there was up and down play today, sure. But I think we also need to understand, one, the Tommy Rees offense was on page 1, and they didn't get to page 2.
Right.
By design. That's by design. They stayed on page 1. 2, Justin, you hit it, the drops. I mean, we start adding in some of these drops. What does he have? 6, 7 more completions?
Correct.
Genuinely.
Easy.
And now we're having a totally different conversation.
Yep.
And then 3, I just think there's still so much new right now. It's learning for everybody. But here's the thing. Jance, your comment hit the nail on the head. One of the first drives he had that led to points, right? Whenever he tucked it and ran. Malachi Moore came off on the blitz, and he stayed strong in the pocket, didn't flinch, strike, first down. And then after that, another completion, and then with the scamper for the touchdown. Ty Simpson comes in there, and Ty Simpson is showing everybody why this is a quarterback competition. And wouldn't you know it, the good news comes along. Eli Holstein makes some plays. Dylan Lonergan makes some plays. So if you were watching this thinking that the quarterback competition would be solved today, I have bad news. It's not going to be solved today. It's not. It's going to go.
Well, the other thing, too, we already talked about, I didn't mean to cut you off, Coach, is today the quarterbacks were not live. So you have a lot of what both quarterbacks' abilities were hindered. They couldn't do the normal things they could do. They couldn't evade defenders they wanted the way they normally would. I think if they were allowed to truly do what their skill set allowed them to do, you probably have better stats as well. And I saw a comment earlier that if one particular quarterback wins a starting battle, the other's going to transfer portal. No, that's not true. It's not take your toys and go home. These kids aren't that way. Ty Simpson's already made it clear that he is willing to wait his turn if need be. So he's not an instant gratification drive-through guy like a lot of these kids are today. But go ahead, Coach.
Can you highlight this Daniel Rivera comment at 6:26 p.m.? This is why I seldomly even pay attention to crazy comments like he said about not having both QBs being trash. You're a UGA fan. That's all I need. That's all I need. I knew it. When you said that about the way these quarterbacks look. Did you see how uncomfortable UGA quarterbacks looked in their scrimmage? Did you watch your scrimmage? Neither one of your quarterbacks look comfortable. So let's not even go there. Ty Simpson, like I said, coming into this weekend, I was not for Ty Simpson being the starting QB. But you can't deny what's happening with this guy. The level of development that Ty Simpson is being able to show with the lack of film that he was able to produce last year, that's a good sign. And to know that in Coach Saban's eyes that he's still not good enough to dethrone Jalen Milroe, the more experienced guy, who's also showing improvement. We saw it, clear and obvious improvement. Jalen Milroe's plays last year were still off schedule, got to move out the pocket. I don't feel comfortable doing a 3-step drop, 5-step drop, making my reads. That was Jalen Milroe last year, and he made good plays. We were hype about him last year. Knowing Bryce was the starter, we were hype about Jalen. But then when it came to game time, we saw how important it was for him to be comfortable. Jalen Milroe was not comfortable with none of his snaps last season. This year, this spring game right here, he was comfortable. Yes, he had a pick at the end of the first half, throwing it up, Hail Mary. Coaches don't even count there, like you said. But you talk about being comfortable and having a go-to receiver. He didn't have a go-to receiver when he had to start last year. He had to try to figure it out on the fly. He was still getting Bryce type snap reads and play calling. But today he felt he looked like he was comfortable. So when you talk about a QB competition coming in where your younger guy is pushing your older guy, that always brings success for Alabama. You think about Blake Sims, you think about Jake Coker, you think about Jalen Hurts came back the second year, and even though he didn't progress as fast, his pass game ability definitely started to get better. Now, towards the end of the season, when guys were starting to, defense was starting to pick up on it, he became a little bit more one-dimensional against the more experienced defensive coordinators. But you talking about the talent that Jalen Milroe has and Tommy Rees has to work with, I wouldn't be surprised if Ty Simpson go ahead and takes this hit and just stays prepared. And Jalen Milroe is the guy, because you got a guy like Tommy Rees that had to work with nothing last year, at Notre Dame. And now he got a Ferrari like Jalen Milroe, where the small things is, let me get this guy to slow down. That's all we want Jalen Milroe to do. Slow down in the pocket, make your reads, and let the ball go when you have it. That's it.
And Tide fans quickly forget that Blake Sims had a horrendous 8A game, and the entire nation had written him off. Kirk Herbstreit and every pundit out there had already listed Jake Coker as being a Heisman finalist. And Blake shouldn't even bother showing up to campus. And what happened? He ended up setting and breaking several passing records and began the change that we are seeing today carried over to Tua, to Mac, to Bryce. Yeah, we had Blake on our show a couple of weeks ago, man. He's not at all worried about this quarterback situation. The very same thing could end up happening for either guy, especially Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. And just talking, and I was able to chop it up with Christian Jones, former Alabama wide receiver, and he was talking about how Jalen Milroe's confidence is the main thing that's going to keep him at that position, that keep him as the leader in that locker room. Because even though Ty Simpson is competing against Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson has such a respect for Milroe and the things that he's affording to happen for Simpson by, hey, let's go to the film room. These guys they're not competing against each other to tear each other down. They're competing against each other to make sure that everybody's ready. So no matter who picks it up, whoever has to get behind the center, everybody's ready. And in hindsight, that sounds fine, but that's hard work, guys. I play wide receiver. I don't care how good each quarterback is. They could be good at different things. One quarterback might have a strong arm. One quarterback might have perfect ball placement, but have a weaker arm. Another quarterback might be a deep ball threat, quarterback that can throw deep balls but can't throw short balls, and you got to catch it differently. So it's hard as a receiver to learn it, but it's always good to have that confidence that knowing when they come out here, when they call the play, I'm running the right route. I know they're not going to be looking for me to be somewhere else. And that's all I wanted to see from our quarterbacks. And that's what we got. Not even 2 deep, 3 deep, guys. Guys look comfortable 3 deep.
I was impressed with Ty Simpson as well. I like what he can do in terms of his legs. Great burst, nice wiggle, can do a lot of things besides just staying in that pocket. And that throw, like I said, to Jermaine Burton was perfect. Welcome to the SEC, Jaleel Hurley, by the way.
Hey, I felt sorry for my little bro, man. I was like, hey, it happens to the best, man. Kyrie Jackson knows too well.
But let's talk about the less famous quarterbacks. I think we came away today impressed with Dylan Lonergan and Eli Holstein. Like you said, the thing's been looking very comfortable. They look like they've already been there before, like they've been in the system for 2 years. Holstein came out, his first pass hits Ja'Cory Brooks on a deep ball. Dylan, to me, just looked so seasoned on that first drive that led to a touchdown. We're in good hands with these backups. Just so relaxed. They took command. They weren't second guessing themselves. They weren't getting panicked when things were breaking down. They weren't looking back over to the coach. Man, they're studs. And I think that once Milroe and Simpson move along, we're going to have a quarterback battle again. And that's with Julian Sand coming in as well.
That's what I'm saying. We won't. That Julian Sand is going to be the next Bryce. I'm convinced, y'all. Not even the next Bryce. He's going to be the next one that makes us like, okay, there was a Bryce, now there's a Julian. I'm telling you, that kid right there. Everybody gets hyped about this Nico kid and the other quarterback that's coming in this year. But I'm telling you guys, Julian Sand, Trevor Lawrence 3.0. I mean, bro, legs, but his legs is all right. I'm done. I'm not going to do this.
You've been quiet, man. What are your thoughts?
He excited
I've
about
just
this.
been listening, man. So one area I will disagree, Coach, and I wish I agreed. Those Georgia quarterbacks didn't look hesitant to me.
Man.
Carson Beck, hey, he looks like he's gonna have fun.
He was
this
ready
season.
last year too. He was ready.
Yeah, I'm excited for Carson Beck for Georgia, but you know me, Coach. Hey, I bleed crimson, but I also have a problem where I bleed college football to such a degree where I gotta give Daniel, you're a Georgia fan. I'll give you love here, man. I did think that y'all's spring game, the offense is going to be fun. I can't wait to see what y'all do there. But as far as Alabama goes, guys, I just don't see where so many people are just done on the quarterback situation. Because here's the thing. I don't think anybody here on the panel is saying that any quarterback played perfect.
Right.
But I think that gives us all a little bit of excitement is the fact that none of them did play perfect. Here's exactly what I mean. We had another Georgia fan in here who was talking and who said, hey, the offense, the quarterbacks look like they're still figuring things out, but your defense looks scary. That was what a Georgia fan said. And I had the same feeling when I watched Georgia's defense. I was like, they're going to figure that out. Offense looks scary. But because of that, guys, it's going to affect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to affect the quarterback when the pass rush is getting there. Jalen Milroe, he would have some times of inconsistency, but then look at the drives he put together, right?
Mm-hmm.
That throw he hit to end the game with Kendrick Law, where he put it right in between the corner and safety.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful pass. Ty Simpson went out there and had some passes, and Dylan Lonergan and Eli Holstein really impressed me. Really, really impressed me. Dylan Lonergan looked comfortable.
I don't want them to leave, man.
And when I say comfortable, I mean for a guy who should be in high school. I think when we say comfortable, people are thinking, oh, you mean he looks like he's a fifth-year senior. No, we mean like he does not look like that's a guy that should be standing in line at his lunch cafeteria right now. It just did not look like that. Look, I walked away from this pumped up, but it's a spring game.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be good. There's going to be bad. I saw more good, more that I think, okay, we can build off this than I saw last year, where my only thought coming off of the spring game was maybe they were just trying to be real buttoned up, right? Real lunch pail to the game type. And the team last year never had an identity.
Right.
Already there feels like there's an identity, there's an energy to this team. And I think some people are saying, oh, well, there's not all positives. I think everybody on the panel would admit it's not all positives, but it's the fact that where they are right now relative to where the team was last year, a team that had Will Anderson, had Bryce Young, the level of energy is just different. And I think that's more conducive to success long-term.
Tim, you hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head, Tim. And I think this helps us though, because with our QB being thrown into the fire early, it forces us to see, okay, who's really got the extra it factor. And that's what happened with Jake Coker against Ole Miss. You remember we didn't have a definite QB up until Ole Miss game the year Jake Coker was competing for the starting position, but he had the extra it factor. Even though we lost, he had the extra it factor that showed guys, okay, we can trust you. Because at that point, up until that point, both quarterbacks were equally trusted. No quarterback was doing anything more spectacular than the other. And so we won't get to see either quarterback separate themselves in the offseason either. Because like we all know, you have practice players and then you also have, big light players. And so at Alabama, the practice players are usually the ones that's going to get the first look. And then sometimes Saban's hand is forced to put the big light players out there like the Natty when he had to play all his freshmen. So it's one of those things where I'm excited about it because the negatives that happen shows that our defense is not trash. Like we could discredit everything that happened with the quarterbacks in our offense today. But to me, that means we're at least 2 to 3 deep with a solid defense, because it wasn't like it was bad plays where the quarterback was just throwing it to nobody and there was a pick. You know, these were actually contested balls, good passes, getting picked off sometimes. And that's what happens. We have greatness against greatness. That's honestly, I believe that's where we have lost our way at Bama for a certain amount of time, where greatness against greatness wasn't trying to push each other to be great. It was more of kind of like, we're here. Let's kind of just make it to the season, because when we show up, they're going to see Bama and nobody's going to play us. But the past 2 years, people have showed up to play us, and it's shown. And so now this year, I feel like we showed up to play ourselves. We showed up to challenge ourselves in this spring game. When you see a guy like Pope, the way he laid Burton out, you should have caught it the first time, Jermaine, because it hit your hands 3 times. Anytime you got 3 chances to catch the ball and you get laid out, you deserved it. And I'm glad he laid them out. Clean hit. It wasn't a dirty.
Right through his chest. Straight
through the chest. And I loved it. And you saw the energy on the sideline from both sidelines. It wasn't nobody like, oh my God. It was like, yo, let's go, big hit. And that's what we need. Robert Balla jumping around on the sideline. Tommy Rees jumping like, oh, big hit. Like Kevin Steele. I watch the small stuff like that when I'm watching Bama spring game. I don't care about statistics to a certain degree. If you're a numbers watcher, you're always going to be misled when it comes to watching. Watching a Coach Saban coach team, you're going to always be disappointed and misled.
Well, I love that point too, because Daniel was talking about how Bryce had a sensational year last year, but Will not as much. And Daniel, here's what I will say about that, because this is a dangerous road to go down. This is what happens when you look at the stat sheet. It's just like that defensive tackle Georgia had, right? When people were saying, oh, well, he's supposed to be a top 5 pick. Why does he only have like X amount of sacks relative to this defensive tackle? It's because whenever everybody plays Georgia, they know if we don't pull so many resources to stop that behemoth in the middle, we're done. Before the ball ever snaps, we're done. He will wreck our game plan. That's kind of the same logic that was used for Will. I mean, he was constantly chipped. He had 2 guys on him, 3 guys on him. And even the plays where it was 1-on-1, they were doing something, running away from him. So the stat sheet is a little bit misleading. It was the impact that he had. And Year of the Dogs, no, I would not say Burton is the best wide receiver.
Nobody has once said that.
I don't.
Wait, time out. And even last year when he came, we were confused as to why Jermaine Burton came. And any real Bama fan was skeptical. Why are you coming from a national championship team to the rival? Are you coming to like a petty nobody that knows nothing about football was talking crazy? He's coming to sabotage us. And at points it seemed like that. But last year it seemed like that. And so even today I wasn't like, who told you? To me, our best wide receiver right now, our most consistent wide receiver right now is Kendrick Law. That's just that's just my personal opinion. And it's not that he's the fastest. It's not that he has the best, highest vertical. It's just what he can do and how consistent he can do it at. You can use him in multiple positions. Today, knowing and seeing what happened today, the person I feel like is going to be the difference maker for our offense, because he's not going to get the main attraction, Emmanuel Henderson. That speed in the slot, bro, is going to be uncontainable. That means you might be able to slide Malik Benson out to the Z instead of trying to force him to play the slot. And you got all that speed right there with a Ja'Cory Brooks or Prentice or Bonds falling in that rotation. Guys, Bonds is the guy too.
Burton is fighting for his position right now.
You see, he wasn't with the first group.
Yeah, Burton. Look, and I think he's got upside. I'm not trying to down anybody. Dude's very talented, but he's fighting for his position right now. That's just kind of the reality of where it's at.
And Ty, you know why he's fighting for his position now? Because last year when there was no leadership, no veteran presence in the room, when you had what, 4 true freshmen having to play the first game with you, and you and Ja'Cory Brooks were labeled as the guys in the room. That's what Coach Saban said. Not Holden, who was there, not JoJo Earl, who was coming off an injury. You and Jermaine Burton and Ja'Cory Brooks were labeled as the guys in the room. You didn't take advantage of that. You showed up against Utah State and you disappeared until Auburn.
Well, Ole Miss, he played decent, but yeah, the later half of the season is when he emerged.
Ole Miss game, we had what, a 14-21 point lead before he started acting like he wanted to attack the ball on the comeback. Like I'm very critical of Burton because I'm a wide receiver guy. and the lack of effort he would display 80% of the game, that is not acceptable. And then you got guys like Isaiah Bonds, Shabazz Preston, Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, guys that's really out there putting their bodies on the line, taking these dirty hits. You know, come on, man. The culture is back, though. I will say that. I feel like the culture is definitely back on both sides of the ball, and that's what we saw today. Like you said, Ty, that's all I was looking for. I didn't want to come out and be flat just because it's a spring game.
Before we move into our segment called Fan Questions, where we give the floor to you guys, I want to remind everybody in the Tuscaloosa area, the Bama Standard, our flagship show, is going to be at the Bryant Museum this Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you are in town, get there. You get to finally meet us. That's me, Marvin Constant, Bo Scarborough, Steve Brown, Stephen Smith. And we're also going to have some guests there. We're going to have Christian Miller joining us on set, and Chris Samuels will be there via satellite. But his presence will still be felt, and some other surprises. So definitely check that out. And then the very next night at 7:30 p.m. Central, still at the Bryant Museum, Bo Scarborough will be there with his show, The Developmental Focus Points. That's Bo Scarborough, Blake Sims, Christian Jones, and Trent Richardson. Come out, guys. Show your support. All right, folks, let's get to this segment. Turn it over to the fans. First question, guys. Let y'all go around the room. Are they going to play without a safeties coach? I think Coach T-Rob is handling those duties right now, and I think he's going to do so very admirably. It's my speculation that once this NCAA stuff blows over, I feel like Jeremy Pruitt will be back to coach that position group, and we'll see him in August, and that will kind of complete the cabinet of advisors. But guys, what do y'all feel about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, 100%. And I think one positive from that is you have continuity in communication.
And the whole secondary.
Yes, there's continuity in communication, and I think that's big.
One voice, because you got to think, I don't think Jeremy Pruitt is coming back to coach anything different. I think it'll be more of a personnel evaluation type on-field role, making sure guys are still doing the right things. But, T-Rob got it, man.
And I think that Jeremy Pruitt will be brought back in that type of role, and Kevin Steele will get his one more year to be vested, and then he'll retire right off in the sunset, transition it back to Jeremy Pruitt. He takes over, and boom. All right, Ed Adams, who do you think had a better game, O-line or the D-line? Man, it's tough, but I think the edge goes to the defensive line, and I just felt like there were some times where they did get the best of the offensive line, especially Pritchett. Dear Lord, bless his heart.
I'm going to follow you up. I'm going to say first group D-line and second group O-line.
Oh, yeah, second group O-line on point.
I love that.
Love that kid.
Even Brockmeyer at center. That I was so glad to see James at center. Like that, we've been waiting to see the Brock. We know the other one left. So it was kind of like glad to see that other big bro is still there competing, you know?
Yeah, that was awesome to see, no doubt. And I got to agree, guys. It was the defensive line. That was the winner today.
Yeah, and we're missing guys too. So
yeah,
we're missing guys.
That's what makes it even scarier.
Yeah.
So James Smith is just goodness gracious.
Somebody told me he was a freshman. Look, they gonna be doing a birth certificate check like we was trying to get on Jordan Davis before the national championship. I'm telling you, I remember James when he was in like the 5th grade, man. When he was playing against my little cousin and Reuben Foster, all them was playing in the same league out of Montgomery and Opelika area. Like I remember all those days where he was big. He was a big kid there. So to see him at Bama now, him and Quay, well, I can't wait for Quay to show up. But once Quay get there, I think that's gonna be crazy. I think Quay might come on later and do something too, y'all.
He was
Quay looks huge today. Good Lord.
Huge. Yeah, that's the first thing I text you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I did a double take and I was like, who the heck is 49?
It doesn't make sense, y'all.
I was like, does Xavier Dixon have more eligibility and he came back 10 years later? Because
I could not think of his name for nothing earlier. I couldn't think of that dude's name for nothing earlier. Zay Dixon. I could not think of his name for nothing earlier. I was like, dang.
Sweet Home Bama 22. My question, do you think Rees should let tight ends lead the way in the passing game, then hit the receivers? Based on what we saw today and the receivers not really getting a rhythm other than the big three we named, I think you kind of have to. I think that the tight ends are the strength until the wide receivers kind of get that confidence and get things running. So, yeah, that's my answer. Guys, what do you feel?
Look, I've always said this. It's one of the things where if you're a regular at my channel, if you're familiar with my content, you've probably heard me say what I'm about to say, and I apologize in advance. If you have a new quarterback, if you have a new offensive coordinator, great running back play, great tight end play can be that new quarterback and offensive coordinator's best friend. Luckily for Alabama, guys, it looks like check on the running back play and check on the tight end play. Look, I think you let the tight ends lead the way, and then you open up the wide receivers, make that defense scramble, pull the resources inside, get their eyes following the eye candy, and kill them over top.
I mean, we see what our receivers do with open catching. Like they're not dropping many of those. It's those contested balls, those ones where you're feeling the steps, you're hearing the steps. Those are ones where we're seeing our receivers not be consistent. So you're the only way you're able to open that space up to make those receivers comfortable is having a solid run game and a strong intermediate pass game. And you talk about it. What's the easiest throw for a quarterback? The ones that's right in front of his eyes.
The safety valve.
10 yards down the field. I mean, 10 or less, 12 or less, I can make those throws. I'm 32. I haven't thrown a pass in probably about 2 years. Not a real pass, a competitive pass. So I feel like I can go out there and Kesselman and Dupree and Danny Lewis and Knee Black, the way they was sitting down in them zones, in them holes, I can make them 7 to 8 yard passes. Stand strong in the pocket. Like Jalen Milroe's confidence in his offensive line is really what's going to carry and show whether Tommy Rees can be successful or not. His confidence in that O-line, he's already comfortable with Rees. We see that. His confidence in that O-line and his ability to just trust them and stand in the pocket sometimes. You 6'2", 225. Take a hit every now and then, big dog.
John Bailey, I'm happy with the team. How about y'all? I'll say absolutely, just because of those small things we've already talked about being there, the energy being there, the focus and the drive being there. And I'm not usually a guy who likes to jump ahead and jumps into the what ifs and looking down the schedule. Oh, we got these guys. We're not going to do well here, this or that. I can actually look at our schedule now based on what I saw today and the energy factor alone and have more confidence in deciding how each game is going to turn out. How do y'all feel?
Look, I think there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot that needs to continue progressing. But what spring game have we ever watched where that wasn't a takeaway, right? Like that's the takeaway from all. I'm pleased. I am pleased. I'm fired up, right? The defense has got me really pumped up. Certain aspects of it, absolutely.
And guys, you can't be more excited now because, like you said, Justin, the energy. We didn't know what team was going to show up every week last year. We didn't know.
Yeah, literally every show we did, we were questioning: are they going to show up? Are they going to care? I mean, it was in doubt.
So that makes good for content creation. But as a fan, I want to know that the D-line that dominated last week is going to show up again this week. And as a content creator, it gives you that opportunity to say, well, if this Will Anderson shows up, this is what happened. But if this Will Anderson shows up, this is. Yeah, but I don't want, as a fan, no. So, yes, today, let me know, okay, the mindset is gritty, is back. I'm talking about the trenches. Y'all, if fans, if y'all weren't satisfied by anything else today, the trenches on both sides were probably the most impressive as a collective. And I mean, both sides won and lost, like I said earlier, both sides have won and lost battles. But as a collective, the trenches, and what stems off of the trenches, everybody knows football, successful team starts in the trenches. If you can control the trenches, you can control the game. So if that's what we're getting back to, and that's what it looks like we're getting back to, we got a bright future, guys.
Tim Lovett, who's a sleeper corner that doesn't get enough love? I'll go ahead and throw Desmond Ricks out there, and that's because I was really doubting him, as I'm sure you gentlemen were coming in. We felt like he needed a lot of time to develop and to grow, but based on what I saw today, yes, it's a spring game, and I will always throw the asterisk there. I saw a lot of confidence in him. I saw a lot of dog in him and meanness in him, and he didn't beat himself. I like what I saw, and I feel that he'll only grow and get better from that. So I feel like if called into duty, he may be all right. Who do you have as possible sleeper guys?
Kite.
Oh gosh, that's a great one.
Antonio Kite. Real pumped up. Yeah.
I feel you on that, but I'm gonna go with Terry Arnold. I feel like people are sleeping on Terry Arnold because of how he got
that's
took
the
last
obvious
year.
one too. Wow.
Yeah, it's an obvious one because he was getting he struggled last year. But if y'all really look at where Terry Arnold struggled at last year, it wasn't on ball defense. It was on concept. When do I switch off with the safety? When don't I switch off with the safety? If you give me a man, I'm decent, coach. I can play man, but this elevated concept of when to pass off, how to read past my assignment, that's slowing me down, coach. And so I think the one game where he showed up and it actually looked like he was ready was probably the Arkansas game, I want to believe, or Texas A&M game, one of those games last year where he actually showed up. And it was like, okay, he's starting to get it. And then he started to struggle some more. So today he just looked like he was just so comfortable and fluid in his movement. He looked like a corner, not a safety, trying to play corner, guys. And that's going to be big with Kool-Aid being on the other side.
That's the biggest difference right there, coach. Is last year he was a guy playing out of position, trying to learn the position, but he was just such a phenomenal athlete. He can make the transition so much better than what a normal person could. And yes, there were times where he looked very green and as to be expected, but now he has a year of experience behind him. And year two, I fully expect a different guy. I expect a lockdown guy. So I'm with you on that. And I think he also held his own pretty well against Texas.
He did. To be thrown in the fire like that against a Steve Sarkisian coach freaking offense with the type of talent you had at quarterback and wide receiver from Texas and tight end, because the tight end from Texas was really the X factor for us. What's his name? Brandis Thomas? I forget his name.
Tight end from Texas?
Yeah, number 0.
Jatavian Sanders.
Yes.
Former 5-star out of Denton. Ryan played defensive end and tight. He is a problem.
Yes, he is.
He's a problem.
He's the athletic version of Bang. Like that dude is so solid coming off of that.
He's good.
And light on his feet. Will jump over a tackle, run through a tackle. He can dunk. I think he had like a 42-inch vertical.
He's ridiculous, man. So I live in Denton. Right. And so I don't know if y'all have peeped the guys that have been coming out of Denton the last few years.
Yeah.
But like Bear Alexander, Jatavian Sanders, Anthony Hill, Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen, Jackson Arnold, all right here within a stone's throw of my place. And I was at 3 of the games where he went viral for the same catch every time in the back of the end zone. They'd throw it up and he wouldn't even jump. He'd just stick a hand up and moss everybody.
This dude got 11 and a half inch freaking.
He's
crazy.
Built different too, man. Because I was interning for Dave Campbell's Texas football when they played in the state game, and I was on the field like with Quinn Ewers and all of them.
Yeah.
And he walked by me, and he was built different. I just knew, like, okay, that's why I'm not an athlete.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to a couple more. Just kind of keep our answers short as we're coming towards the end. Raju Fly, y'all think we can beat Georgia? Honestly, I don't think we have a good enough sample size to determine, how that will pan out from us or from Georgia. It's one of those things that we kind of had to discover about midway through the season to where before we can really get a true feel of where both teams are. So really can't give you an answer there. Let's see. Morehouse 423. Are you concerned about our depth at cornerback behind Kool-Aid and Terrion? Rick's looked pretty good. I'll go ahead and say, if anything, that's one of the most comfortable positions I have right now. If I had to choose, I'm confident there. What do you think, guys?
If those two can't do it and Little can't come in and be the guy to replace it, then I'm worried. But like, I'm not worried. That's the thing. Like, I don't feel like death is going to injury. I don't feel like we're going to fall off. I mean, experience factor might kick in once in a while, but the style of defense, Kevin Steele, we didn't see drop-offs at Auburn when they had injuries under Kevin Steele. We didn't see a defensive drop-off. That's what Guys, we have to consider what these coaches that we've hired, these coordinators that we've hired are able to work with compared to what they've had to work with in the past. You talking about Kevin Steele having to basically use the Alabama rejects. You know what I'm saying? Not to talk about any recruits ever recruited by Auburn, even though I could care less how y'all feel. But like honestly, like they have way more to work with now. So I feel like we good, man.
How impressive was Caden Proctor today?
It's your boy Ty.
Go ahead, Ty.
I am not convinced that the left tackle battle is sewed up.
It can't be.
Guys, my fiance, I pointed at him and I said, "How old do you think he is?" And she's like, "Oh, he's probably a senior, right?" And I said, "Nope." Nope.
That's turned 18.
I was like, he should be in high school, right? I mean, just Caden Proctor's really good, but it's not Jance, and happy to report this, it's not just Proctor. There's some other of those freshman O linemen that really are looking good. Excited.
And Alabama national champions. What do y'all think about Dylan Lonergan? We've already covered it, but I'll give my brief summary. I was really impressed. I come away really excited about him. If he should ever be called into battle, I like what I saw. He's comfortable, he's confident, and he's very poised. He's already ahead of his time. Yes, it's a spring game, but as a freshman playing in front of a Bryant-Denny Stadium crowd, you would expect nerves to be there to some degree. I didn't really see any nerves from him today, and he didn't panic at all.
That's just a testament to the coordinator. I'm telling you, this team, this offense looks scary comfortable right now. And people look at it, they didn't run no plays. They wasn't blowing the top off of the defense. Duh, because we have an elite defense too. But receiving the call, executing the play to the best of your ability, 110% every time. Doing it and actually looking like you know what you're doing, 100, it's like full speed. That we got to watch a full college game. Like to me, I felt like I watched a college game today. You know, the extra reps and stuff, the live special team stuff, not. But anytime there was live gameplay between offense and defense, I felt like game speed. It felt like game speed, guys, and I don't feel like it was as controlled as it was in the past. I feel like guys were really being attentive in how they were being as far as being intense and making plays, especially on the defense side. You saw some solid hitting, but no drag down hits, no twisting up ankles, none of that. Everything was solid form. I saw more form tackling. Guys, I just threw something at the camera. Linebackers were wrapping up today. Guys, we can end the show on that. Our linebackers were wrapping up. All the
answers this.
Yes.
Yes, that was the first position group that immediately jumped off the screen to me.
No more this year. No more hugging. Can you please lay down? We don't want you. You don't want to give up any more yards, y'all. I just can you lay down?
School's World. I don't know if you missed what we talked about earlier, but Justin Jefferson has been getting a lot of love from this panel today. He was very impressive all over the field. Did not play like a transfer. Looked like he'd been there 2 or 3 years and is using this year as a resume builder for the NFL draft.
Squidward, you can quote me, you can record it, screen record it. I apologize, Justin Jefferson. I didn't think you were ready this year. This spring game, even though it's the spring game, you clearly you're a talent that can't be kept off the field. I thought you needed a little bit more weight. Clearly, I was wrong. Football is football, son. Do your thing.
Yeah, I second that video or the apology.
So, Barry, you already know.
How happy were you not to see Henry Toa?
That's not his name either on this show. It's Hugging Henry.
Hugging Henry.
That hurts. That's foul.
Hugging Henry, man.
That's foul.
All right.
Man.
Well, guys, we've been doing this for about an hour and 30 minutes before we go into our closing segment, and I allow these men to tell y'all about what their platforms are, how y'all can find them, and all that good stuff. I want y'all to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching the replay, please get in the comment section. Show us some love. Give us some thoughts, because we've talked a lot today about many topics that have been on the minds of Bama fans. Coach Smook, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you since Ty's our guest. I'll say the best for last.
Yes, sir. I'm all with that. Hey, I'm a fan too, so like I don't think the fans realize I'm a fan sitting next to one of the guys I really get a lot of my good in-depth information and outlooks as far as college football is, and especially Alabama football. We share a lot of the same viewpoints. W with the show. Shout out Squidward World, man. I appreciate your activity, man. And like you said earlier, we ain't gonna never ban nobody, man, unless you getting disrespectful. But talk as much trash. As long as you talking football, you got a place in here. Okay. But for real, talk football. But yeah, roll tide to everybody in the chat, man. You can find me on every platform at Coach Smoot. My primary content is gaming content, but we expanding this year. My guy Justin brought me on board with the Bama Standard. So now I have more of a platform. And so anything Alabama football related that comes from Coach Smoot, credit it to the Bama Standard because they're the ones creating the way for us. And man, just keep supporting y'all. We got some energy. Like we've been waiting for spring day, we've been waiting for A Day, and it's here. Now we got a good little glimpse. I'm about like Ty. I'm ready. He's excited about the defense. I'm excited about all the questions with the offense, but just that level of comfortability is just. But yeah, Coach Smoot on everything. I'm sorry.
We appreciate that. And I fully expect everyone today to go to these gentlemen's social media platforms and become followers and subscribers. Ty, man, it was last minute, but you decided to come on and be with us today. We greatly appreciate you being with us, and we definitely will bring you on here even more. But if you will, tell the fans what you got going on and how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at Around the Table Sports here on YouTube. I have a bit of an unhealthy obsession with college football, and y'all enable my obsession. So thank you for being enablers and allow me to just have it's a problem. It's becoming a problem. Now, hey, what video games are you on? Because when NCAA comes out, we might have to start up a league.
Todd, get out of my head right now. Right now. I'm telling you, I'm glad we ran into each other, Justin. You know, I already believe in you, bro. The fact that you just made this connection. I'm with you, Ty. I'm there.
Hey, we'll get together after this, right?
Yes,
we'll get together after
bro.
this.
Yes,
but
sir.
Justin, thank you so much. Guys, even I, as someone who does content, have been blown away by what the Bama Standard has been building. And the fact that this platform is not above 10,000 subscribers yet just blows my mind. You're getting analysis from Justin, who, when I have anything Alabama, that's one of the guys I hit up, right? That's just the way. When I had a thought today, I text Justin. Not only are you getting his analysis, you're getting analysis from former players. Great stuff happening on the Bama Standard. This is a stop y'all need to absolutely be subscribed to. And that's why I'm really thankful, Justin, for you bringing me on today. This has been awesome, man. Any opportunity you ever need somebody to come on, you just let me know. I'll be here.
Sounds good to me. Greatly appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, guys. It's great to talk about football here in April. Went too long. Yes, thank you, Scores World. This channel should have 100,000 subscribers. I will gladly take that. But before we walk out the door, got to do this. Give me your MVPs, offensive and defensive, from the 8A game. Coach, I'll start with you, and then I'll go, and then Ty will give us his.
All right, defensive MVP. I'm going with Caleb Downs. That's because my guy, guys, and we had a lot of defensive guys doing things. Justin Jefferson was a surprise, but the MVP, you talking about Caleb Downs, and then at court, I mean, on the offensive side, I can't do one person. I got to go with the offensive line.
You can go 1A, 1B.
I don't even want to do that because running back's the obvious choice. Quarterbacks play neck and neck. Wide receivers were inconsistent. Some of them played, but offensive line played consistent. Like first group O-line played consistent the whole scrimmage. Like, and you think about the talent that they're going to up against. They were only getting beat on 5-man pressures. 5-man pressures. That's the only time we saw real pressure on the quarterback, which is expected when you talk about you got 5 elite rushers coming at the quarterback. So offensive line was solid today. That's my MVP on the offensive side.
Okay, wow. Man, it's hard for me to pick because there were so many guys I was pleased with today. I could go with Caleb Downs as well. I was just really impressed with the fact that he came into this game like he's going into his final season, and he's going to be headed to the draft as soon as the championship is won this year. So I will go there. But if I had to do a 1B, like the growth and the improvement from Quandarius Robinson, someone already mentioned it in the chat, got to give him props. He got caught a lot of hell this past season because of that against Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I think that this season he's going to more than make up for it. Offensively, man, I got to go with the young kid, Justice Haynes. He has showed us that he is waiting for no man. He's ready to do his thing. He understands the Bama culture, and he's not going to second guess himself. And he's a name that you're going to get used to, and he's going to be a problem for a lot of people. Georgia. Ty, who you got?
Defensive MVP. Look, if we're going offensive line for an offensive MVP, I got to counter it with defensive line for a defensive MVP. And that's not to take away anything from the offensive line, Coach. I 100% agree with you. Right. I 100% agree with you. But at the same time, man, if I'm going to agree with you there, I think the flip side of the equation is they had to stop what?
Exactly.
Those monsters on the other side, man. Those monsters on the other side. Look, that defensive front got me fired up. I'm all of 180 pounds, and I was ready to put on some pads and go out there and line up across from Pritchett and have him throw me halfway across the field and then get up and try it again and have the same thing happen. But, that's what it is. The defensive front has got me fired up. And I don't mean just the interior, the Jack and X linebacker position. Without Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, guys, that's a silver lining. That is a true silver lining.
I don't think people are hearing that part of it. Like, we saw flying around discipline, intensity without two of your better, not the best, but two of your better pass rushers.
Dallas Turner's a projected top 32 guy in the draft. I mean, look, I don't know that officially, but I would think it's hard to imagine he's not a projected first rounder. So to your point, for the offensive MVP, I got to go Haynes, man. Yeah. I got to, and I think I could do the running back room, but Haynes was just awesome.
I'm with you, man. Justin, we've been excited about this class. We've been excited about this class since recruiting last season, before these guys even started committing. Once we got the Justice Haynes commit, I think we knew then that this, and Caleb Downs, those two, when we got those two, I figured we was going.
And Richard Young isn't even on campus. And Richard Young, he's not even there yet.
Sorry. Shout out to Richard Young. He actually liked my tweet when I tweeted him back a couple weeks ago. If you watch this show, with a little clout, you know what I'm saying? I'm just playing. But nah, man. Hey, I feel like with the encrypted tweets, Justin, I think now that I go back and I'm looking at some of the stuff that's coming out, I think that's more of a determination thing. You know what I'm saying? I misread. I misread that first, the little cryptic stuff he was doing. I think it's a thing like, oh, I'm coming. Don't think it's over with. I'm coming too. Like, and to know that you coming in and you see what's ahead of you. If Richard Young watched this game today and he's still motivated to come, running back room just gonna be even more than that. Just imagine, y'all remember when every running back that touched the ball, they ran like that was their last carry. You know, we had to tell Najee Harris to slow down. Because you're going to get more carries. Just make the right read on this play. You don't got to break every one of them. I feel like that's the problem we're going to have with this running back room behind Jason McClellan and Roy Dell. Because these guys are ready. They want to show that they're the guy, but nobody needs to be the guy. Let's all do it together.
Exactly. I love
Quick
that.
Shout
Just
out to
yourself.
Sorry about that. Quick shout out to Justin Aboybe, who had a monster game too. And he is also coming back from a neck injury. So he wasn't 100%, but he still made his presence known today. So I got to give the man a huge shout out. But fantastic show. Thank you to everybody in the chat for being a part today. I think we got close to 400 viewers live at one point and consistently too. So we definitely appreciate everyone. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get in the comment section when you're watching the replay. But as far as us, the Bama Standard post-game show, that'll do it. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.